Hi everybody, welcome to the second video for Chapter 12a, where we are going to be talking about geometric sequences. So for some vocab, a geometric sequence is where the ratio between consecutive terms is constant, and a common ratio is the constant quotient between consecutive terms in a geometric sequence denoted by R. So basically, we just talked about arithmetic sequences, which was when we have a sequence and we're adding or subtracting by the same number each time. This is the same, but this time we're working with multiplication. So let's look at this first question here. It says, which of the sequences is a geometric sequence? Then, what is the common ratio? So here, I see that we're going from 2 to -6 to 18 to -54. So to get from each of those terms, I think we would have to multiply by -3 each time. Right? So this is geometric, and our common ratio would be -3. Looking at the next one, okay, so we're going from 7 to 3 to 10 to 13 to 23. You know, I'm not sure if I see any common patterns here, so I'm going to say that this is not geometric. All right, so let's go to the next page. Here's our new rule. So the rule for a geometric sequence is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. So a sub 1, remember, is our first term, and that's our common ratio. So let's look at this first example. It says write a rule for the nth term of the geometric sequence, then find a sub 9. So that means it wants us to find the 9th term. All right, so we do have a first term. You know, here's our first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and remember, it wants us to go find the 9th. But first, let's look at our rule. So our rule is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. So I'll write that down. Okay, and let's do a little labeling here. So we need our first term. So that's what we have to plug in, and then we have to plug in r. So our first term is going to be right here. That's 14. For arithmetic sequences, I had you find the 0 term. But for geometric, you just get to use the first one. And let's find out here what's happening each time. What are we multiplying by? So what do we multiply by to get from 14 to 28? If you're thinking 2, nice work. So 2 would be our common ratio. So to write our rule, a sub n is equal to 14 times 2 to the n minus 1 power. All right, and then it wants us to find the 9th term. Okay, so we're going to plug in 9 for n. So 14 times 2 to the 9 minus 1 power. So just notice here 9, 9. And you could simplify that and say, okay, well, what's 14 times 2 to the 8th power? Because 9 minus 1 gives us 8. And I'm going to type that in. Oops. All right, and that would be 3,584. So that's our 9th term. All right, let's do another example here. So it says write a rule and find the 8th term of the sequence. Okay, so remember, let's take a look here. Let's make sure it's geometric. It didn't say it's geometric. It could be arithmetic, so let's take a look. What's happening each time? All right, it looks like we're multiplying by -5 each time. All right. So that's going to be geometric, so let's write that rule down. Okay, and we need our first term, and we need a common ratio. So our first term, that looks like it's 1, and we already said what's happening each time. It's multiplying by -5. So we can plug everything in. Be 1 times -5 to the n minus 1 power. There's our rule. Now it wants us to find the 8th term. So I'm going to plug in an 8 for n. So just a quick, where did I get the 8? That's where I got it. Where does it say to find the 8th term? That's up there in the directions. Maybe I'll simplify once. 1 times negative 5 to the 7th power, because 8 minus 1 gives me 7. So let's 1 times, and I'm going to put negative 5 in parentheses because the calculator doesn't always like that. So that gives us negative 78,125. Okay, I think I'll do one more here just for those of you who'd like another example. Let's look at the second one. So let's take a look. What's happening each time? Is it arithmetic, geometric? Let's double check. Here it looks like we're multiplying by 3 each time. Great. So we're going to make a geometric rule. Okay, so let's decide what's our first term and what's happening each time. Well, we already said 3 was being multiplied each time, and our first term, that's 7, negative 7, sorry. So a sub n is equal to negative 7 times 3 to the n minus 1 power. That's our rule. We're done with that. But now let's find the 8th term. So I'm going to plug in 8. I always like to simplify once for the calculator. So 8 minus 1, that gives us 7. So let's see here. Negative 7 times 3 to the 7th power. And that gives me negative 15,309. All right, so that's the end of our notes on geometric sequences. Thanks for watching, and the next video will be about recursive sequences.